Looking for an occasional use rifle? Maybe for a spot of target work, plinking, or even some small pest control. Maybe you fancy the idea of a PCP, but don't want to go to the expense of all the ancillary gear. Maybe you don't want a break barrel, but want multi-shot capability. Well, you better watch on, hadn't you? Hello and welcome to AAR on Air, and today is the turn of the Trailscout from Diana, and it isn't going to break the bank at all. It is a budget CO2 powered multi-shot carbine, and I've actually got a brace of them today. They are available in a couple of options, namely a black tactical or a beech wood finish. They're also available in either 22 or 177 calibers. Let's do a quick walk around, shall we? This is the black polymer version in 177 and is 1010 millimeters or 39 3/4 inches long and a lightweight 2.21 kilograms or 4 pounds 14 ounces unscoped. The unscoped part is quite important because this is fitted with external sights with an open blade at the front and fully adjustable rears that cover off elevation and windage. A useful addition if you are the kind of person who enjoys open sight shooting or on a tight budget and can't afford a scope just yet. It does come with a dovetail rail along the top to add that additional sighting option, should you wish, a little later. From the front then, this does come complete and fitted with a silencer suppressor moderator, which is removable. I can't think why anybody would want to remove it, because it works pretty efficiently and will help keep the peace in the neighbourhood. Behind this is that front open blade sight. Moving down the approximately 18-inch or 460mm barrel, you come to those rear sights about 3/4 of the way down. Below this is the CO2 chamber or compartment. Now this is where the Diana Trailscout stamps its mark of being different from other similar CO2 rifles. To start with, it uses the much cheaper 12-gram CO2s, not the more expensive 88-gram versions. This means if you don't use your rifle for a while, you're not running the risk of a full and more expensive 88-gram losing air. The 12 grams are not such a loss to the old wallet, if you know what I mean. Now, normally the standard practice is to fit these with a couple of 12 grams to keep the shot count that bit higher. It's not normally the power level that's affected by more CO2s, just the shot count. Now here we have a triple system, which allows you to use 3 12 grams at once. Now this is something that you need to get just right, so you need to take a second over it when you're loading up, because there is a correct order and an adapter to use at the same time. It's a very straightforward task, but if you're not thinking, you could screw things up a little. Here is the sequence. The first one slots in point or head first, with the second one bottom first. So it backs up to the first one. Then pop in the adapter, which will pierce the second one, which is also about to follow, dropping in head first. Then finally, you screw in the end cap, which has a cam system fitted to give you the final leverage that you need to pierce all 3 CO2s. Here we go. Now, it does have quite a long thread on it, so it takes a second turn it, turn it, turn it. Get it as tight as you can, finger tight. Then the last bit on the cam pierces all three. Quite simple. You should now be all powered up with enough CO2 to give you a fair few shots, but I'll test that out a little later. With that bit explained, it's back to the walk around. Below this is the black stock, which on this version is the plastic or polymer, as they prefer to call it. I will add that the quality is pretty darn good and will stand some knocks, as well as being pretty comfortable to use. It's grippy, slim and lightweight. It is a traditional shaped stock and has stippling on the forestock and grip. The butt is shaped for right-handed shooters, but left-handers will have no problem using it as well. The whole thing is finished off with a rubberized butt pad. A nice thought, but you're really not going to need a recoil pad on this little belter. The trigger is a two-stage item and is surprisingly good and adjustable. The safety is a push-through item and is located in front of the trigger assembly and has a red indicator on the left-hand side for fire, and if pushed through from left to right, it will drop it into safe and completely lock the trigger. It's simple and very effective. Up top, there is that rail for the scope I mentioned earlier and the bolt action on the right-hand side. This isn't interchangeable, but if you're looking for those kind of features on a rifle that retails out at around £186 UK, then you really are a tough audience. There is a single shot tray supplied and a 9-shot magazine in 177 or a 7-shot in 2.2. I usually prefer to use the single shot tray as I've often had slightly better results when using this type of rifle. But then again, who doesn't like options? Let's just take a moment to look at how to load up the magazine. Firstly, turn the clear front anti-clockwise until it stops. Then turn it upside down and, should have got this ready, insert your first pellet skirt first. Then start to turn it round, drop all the rest in the normal way, head first, as you go. Once you've got them all loaded up, you're all done. Last one. There we go. Then it's just simply a case of removing that single shot tray, slide that into the breech. At this point, let's just get this over the chronograph, shall we, to have a look at what kind of power figures you can expect. Well, using 8.44 grain pellets, it saw 619 feet per second, which is 7.18 foot-pounds or 9.74 joules. Now, just for good measure, I think dropping in some heavier 10.34 grain pellets will give us a little bit more useful information. Well, with those 10.34s, it saw 583 feet per second, which is 7.81 foot-pounds or 10.58 joules, which is not far off what I expected. And these tests were done on a cold, wet October day, so a warmer day will likely give better results. Let's take a look at the .22 calibre, shall we? Well, using 15.89 grain pellets, it saw 533 feet per second, which is 10.03 foot-pounds, or 13.59 joules, which again will likely be higher on a warmer day. With these results, I would say that if you're going to want to do a spot of light and closer pest control, then the 2.2 is probably the one you should be looking at. And the 177 would be more for the paper punchers like me. Well, with that information and a budget scope fitted, I think it's time to get this out on the range. Now, with those power levels, I'm thinking 30 metres is a fair distance. Here we go. I do think I've picked probably the worst day to actually do this, but we're in October. I've got a lot of shooting and testing to do, hence the reason I've really got very little choice in the matter as to get this done. This is the Diana Trailscout, which, to be honest, is just basically a PCP body and everything. It's almost a copy, but with CO2. So even though it's pretty much the same money as the PCP version, of course you haven't got all the expense of pumps, tanks, or whatever else you need. As you've just seen, 3 CO2s go into it. Once you've done that, there we go. You could hear the hiss, I could, and we're now gassed up, ready. The only thing to point out with this, I've just very quickly thrown a budget scope onto it, which really, the mounts are slightly in the wrong place, and it's pushing up against the rear sight. What you really want to do, if you're serious about doing this, remove the rear sight, alter your mounts properly so it fits nice and snug. For now, I think we're going to get away with it. Outside, breezy as heck, gassed up. I'm going to use the single shot tray. Let's give it a go, shall we? To be honest, it sounds like I've been making excuses for it, and you really shouldn't, because this is proven to be pretty darn accurate, especially in conditions like this, and I've made it really difficult for it. Yeah, there is nothing wrong with this. Do you know, I got a comment recently saying, oh, another one shot at 40 metres and they're all pellet on pellet. I don't make this up. This is the conditions. This is how I'm shooting. This is the gun, there's the target. Further out than I actually said. And this little darling, it's actually proven itself to be very, very good, even in these conditions. .177. Firing the lighter pellets on this occasion, because that's the first thing I put my hands on. 7.87s out there, 30 metres, Diana Trailscout, 3 CO2s in it. Really, really, really budget gun. Come on. If you want more than that, then, as I've said before, you're a seriously tough audience. I like it. It's good fun. There's nothing to not like about it. Yeah. And it's not doing the full 12 foot-pounds. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Back to the studio. I'm suitably impressed with that from what is a budget gun with a budget scope fitted, and not on a hot day, which will normally have an effect on the power output when shooting CO2 guns. At the price range this is in, it is very difficult to criticise it. Heck, I've paid a lot more for replica CO2 pistols, and this is a very accurate and capable tool, and even very good low-cost starter gun for all the family. If you're looking to get into shooting on a very low budget and don't want a Springer or PCP, then this may well be right up your street. Oh, and that shot count. Well, if the weather's right, you can see up to 100 shots, which is pretty amazing. I do enjoy my time with some of these budget guns. Hopefully you've enjoyed this too. If you have, please give us the old thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to share and don't forget to click the alarm notification bell. You can join in the chat on these platforms, and there is the AAR On Air website for the merch and much more. A big thank you to the guys down at Vector Air for holding on to these for me to review. As always, the biggest thanks goes out to you guys for your support and watching. Please stay safe and shoot safe. And hopefully I'll see you next week with another review for you. That's it. Bye for now.